Hi, and welcome to our next junior relations video. This is all about sequences. Now, in mathematics, a sequence is a term used to describe a pattern of numbers that follows a particular rule. Here's our first example. Identify the pattern of the following sequence of numbers and determine the next two numbers. So it starts at 34, 37, 40, 43. You figured it out? Yes, we're adding 3 to each number, starting at 34 and adding 3. So 43 plus 3 makes 46, and 46 plus 3 makes 49. Now, because we're adding the same number every time, it gets called a linear sequence. I'll give you a definition of that shortly. Right, example 2. Identify the pattern of the following sequence and determine the next three numbers. So we're starting at 16, going to 12, going to 8, going to 4. Right, have you figured that out? Yes, we are subtracting 4. We're taking away 4. So we're going 16 minus 4, 12. 12 minus 4, 8. 8 minus 4, 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. And negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. So we're subtracting 4. Because we are subtracting the same amount every time, it still gets called a linear sequence. So what's a linear sequence? Linear sequence is a pattern or sequence of numbers where the next number is obtained by adding or subtracting the same number every time. So if we add 5 every time, it's called linear. If we subtract 3 every time, it's called linear. Right, let's move on to example 3. Identify the pattern of the following sequence, determine the next two numbers. Right, you figure this one out. 2 times 3 makes 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 3 is 54. So we're multiplying by 3. Now, because we're multiplying, let's multiply 54 by 3 to get 162. 162 times 3 gives us 486. Right, multiplication gets called a multiplicative sequence. Right, we'll give you a definition of that shortly. Right, here's example 4. Identify the pattern of the following sequence, determine the next two numbers. 64 to 32, 32 to 16, 16 to 8. Now in this example, I hope you can figure out before, yes, we're dividing by 2. We're dividing by 2. But dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. You need to remember that. So 64 times a half is 32. 32 times a half is 16. So we're multiplying by a half. So 8 times a half is 4. 4 times a half is 2. We're basically halving. Right, this is again called a multiplicative sequence. But before we move and talk about what that means, remember multiplying by a half is the same as dividing by 2. Now, let's talk about a multiplicative sequence. This is a pattern or a sequence of numbers where the next number is obtained by multiplying by the same number each time. So if you multiply by 2 every time, it's called a multiplicative sequence. All right, couple of tricky sequences to finish this video. Here's a pattern of numbers. See if we can figure out what's going on. Right, I'm not going to wait too long, but here is the answer. These are called square numbers. 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. 3 squared means 3 times 3. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared is 36. Right, here's another pattern of numbers. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. This is a tricky one. Not many people have come across this type of sequence. It's called the Fibonacci sequence, named after a great mathematician called Fibonacci. I'm not going to tell you how to work out the next numbers. You need to go and research that. But the next pattern is 13. Next number is 13 and 21. Do some research on the Fibonacci sequence. Right, here's our final sequence. 1, 3, 6, 10, 15. Right, we're going to have to speed things up, running out of time. The answer is they are triangular numbers and they're based on triangles. 1, 3, 6, and 10. Go and do some research on triangular numbers. Right, thanks for watching.